To the food more based than Boots Collins. You versus me, that's like Ali versus Foreman. God's act.
Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Tyler and welcome back to another gameplay commentary. In today's video, you guys are watching some H1Z1 gameplay, and I kind of wanted to give you guys an updated version of some first time smoking weed tips or suggestions, things that could just kind of help you out in your first situation. So hopefully I can cover the majority of like the main things that people worry about on their first time smoking weed. And if I miss any of them, be sure to leave them down below in the comments, because whenever I make one of these videos that's like tips or anything, I usually like to leave it open for discussion. So one of the first and main things I wanted to mention about this is, if you are going to be smoking weed for your first time, the number one thing you want to remember is it's just weed. You know, you're not going to die, it's not going to kill you, it's not the end of the world, nothing bad is going to happen. And again, like I said, it's just weed, it's nothing bad, nothing really is going to come out of it. Because personally, I've been with a few friends who have had their first experiences smoking weed with me, and they kind of just freaked out thinking they were dying and stuff, or just getting like a really overwhelmed sensation, because the high feeling or the feeling of being high from weed the very first time you smoke is going to be incredibly foreign to you. Everything's going to be new and you aren't going to have any idea of what anything feels like. Because again, you have to keep in mind it's your very first experience with it, you've never really tried anything like this before. So just remember to be chill, stay calm, and everything is going to be okay in the end of it. All you have to do at the most is wait it out and eat some food. And this kind of goes into the second tip that I wanted to give you guys. And this is also going to play into like the first tip I gave you, where I said just remember it's only weed, it's not that big of a deal, nothing bad's going to happen. So to be sure you're in like a relaxed state or like a relaxed mindset when you do it, make sure you're smoking weed for your first time around people who you know. You know, make sure you're around people who you feel comfortable with, feel comfortable asking questions about weed too. Because when you smoke weed for the first time, you're gonna have a lot of questions about certain things, and you want to make sure you feel comfortable asking the people you're around. So make sure you're in like a good environment around people you already know, you're good friends with, and people you feel comfortable asking questions to. Another tip I would like to give you guys is don't try and overthink or overplan your first time smoking weed too much. Because from my experience, whenever you try and plan something out with weed, it just doesn't really go exactly the way you plan it to. And if you try and plan ahead too much and get your hopes set on like specific plans you made prior to smoking, then if your plan goes to fail or like doesn't go the way you originally planned it, it could throw off your entire experience, your entire first time, and make it a really bad experience as opposed to one that you wanted to be a great time. So like I said, try not to overplan or over-prepare too much on it. It's really not a big deal. I know I want to keep stressing that point, like it really isn't that big of a deal. And the most important tip I want to give you guys is do not whatsoever feel peer pressured by your friends to smoke weed. You know, don't go and try and smoke weed because you think it's gonna make you look cool or make you fit in with all the people at your school. Like, fuck that shit. If you want to smoke weed, go ahead and make sure you do research on it, look into what the effects are, what it can do to you, and just try and gain some basic knowledge before just first diving straight into smoking weed. Because I can almost guarantee you, if you're getting peer pressured into doing something you don't entirely want to do, your experience with it really isn't going to be the greatest. And the thing is with weed is it's not supposed to be a bad experience, it's supposed to be a fun time. You're supposed to just be able to relax, laugh with your friends, have a good time, just talk and chill. Another tip I want to give you guys is don't be afraid to cough when you're smoking weed. Especially when it's your first time smoking, your lungs aren't going to be used to it. It's not something you need to be worried about or be ashamed about. Everybody coughs when they smoke weed. Some people cough a lot, whether they've been smoking weed for a long time. Some people just don't cough that much. But I know some people can feel embarrassed if they try and cough, or like some people will just try their best not to cough whatsoever, and then they'll let out a cough and it's just like some crazy ridiculous shit. In my opinion, you might as well just cough. It's not like it's gonna matter. Nobody's gonna look or think of you differently. And if they do, that kind of plays into the second tip that I gave you guys by making sure you're in a good environment around good people. Because like I said, you shouldn't be feeling embarrassed to cough. You shouldn't be feeling embarrassed to do any of these things since it is your first time. And I know a lot of people say that coughing when you smoke weed will actually get you higher. And in a sense, that's kind of true, but it's also not really true. What they mean by that, or like what you mean by you'll get higher if you cough from smoking weed, is that every single time you cough after you're exhaling your hit of weed, it's basically cutting off oxygen to your brain, making your body feel the effects of the cannabis much quicker. So because of that reason, a lot of people think it actually gets them higher, but in reality, I mean, I guess it kind of does. It'll get you higher a lot quicker, but not entirely gets you higher. Now, another tip that I want to give you guys for your first time smoking is it's probably best to smoke out of like a bowl or a joint, as opposed to smoking out of like a blunt or a bong. I mean, you could smoke out of a blunt if you smoke tobacco prior to smoking weed, but to be honest with you, if you don't already smoke tobacco, there's not much of a reason to smoke blunts. In my personal opinion, I really just don't like them that much. I mean, every now and again I enjoy them, but I don't really like them that much just because they kind of like weigh down the flavor of the weed. So like I said, I would suggest using papers and rolling a joint for your first time smoking, or if you can't roll a joint, just get like a bowl or find a friend with a bowl and use that. And the reason I suggest these two methods the most is because if it is your first time smoking, you know, if you're smoking a joint, if you're just smoking a bowl, you can hit it once or twice, maybe 3 times, and just kind of chill and let it sit for a little bit, and then kind of let the weed sit in, and like you can feel out your high, you know, you can feel whether you're going to be crazy high or just a little bit high, and you can kind of just pace yourself using those two methods. As opposed to a bong, like if you smoke a bong your first time smoking weed, you're probably going to get so fucking high, it's unbelievable. And it can kind of just be a little harder to control your high and how high you're getting with smoking out of a bong, because a lot of people, if it is your first time smoking weed, you probably aren't going to know how to use a bong properly. So what's most likely going to happen is you're probably going to accidentally rip a huge rip and not know that you have to pull the slide out to actually clear it. I've personally seen it happen many times, and then to be honest, it's really not the best method to smoking weed for the first time. And the final tip that I want to give you guys for this video that kind of plays into the last tip that I just gave is that whatever you do not smoke out of a plastic water bottle bong, and do not smoke out of a metal tin can or an aluminum soda can. I know there are plenty of ways to make bongs out of fucking plastic water bottles, and I know there are plenty of ways to make like little different bowls and bongs out of fucking aluminum cans, but you have to remember all those cans and all that shit, like if you're using a water bottle bong, there's very high potential you're going to be inhaling melted plastic, which who the fuck knows what kind of toxic shit is in that. And if you use an aluminum can, you're basically inhaling small shards of aluminum, other burnt pieces of like random small objects of metal, as well as hella toxins from all the fucking ink and like paint that's used to coat the labeling in the outer parts of the can. You know, you have to keep in mind that if you're going to be putting your weed on top of that metal print on the outside of the can, you're most likely going to be inhaling tons and tons of fucking toxic random shit off that ink that's used to print the outer parts of the can, the labels on the cans. So do not do that whatsoever. If you can't get your hands on like rolling papers, or your friends don't have a bowl or anything, go ahead and make yourself a bowl out of like a carrot, a cucumber, a fucking apple, any of those situations. I just highly suggest you use some sort of fruit as opposed to inhaling some sort of plastic or aluminum can, because it's just not good for you. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I know this video was probably a bit longer. I think it will be close to around 10 minutes once I edit it all down. If there are any tips that I missed sharing in this video, please be sure to leave them down below in the comments section. Like I said before, I like to keep the comments open for discussion on these videos so everybody can help each other out. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to live stream tonight. I'm probably going to end up breaking our little 3-4 week long streak we have going here on Twitch. And the reason I say that is because I'm actually going to be at work tonight until midnight, so by the time you guys are watching this video on my channel, I'm probably at work right now. One last thing before I end today's video, if you guys haven't gotten a chance to get your limited edition t-shirts, the ones that you guys are seeing on screen now, please be sure to click that first link down below in the description. These shirts are only going to be available for sale for about 10 more days, so if you guys want them, you're going to have to get them quickly. The sale on the t-shirts is actually going to be ending on July 4th, and if I don't get like a decent amount of sales on them, I'm probably not going to make any more apparel for a while. So again, if you guys want to see either more apparel that's going to be cheaper than these t-shirts, or just like more apparel in general as opposed to like one single shirt that's going to be limited, I'd rather do like a whole shop of different t-shirts with different hats and different things like that. But if you guys want to see a store or like an apparel shop that's going to be open year round, be sure to buy this limited edition shirt, because I'm kind of just making this as a trial to see how the shirt sales go, and if they go good, I'll make a bunch of different other shirts that are going to be cheaper. But anyways, thanks again so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your night. You guys know I love each and every one of you so very much. Thanks again so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.
I got more keys than Alicia. These niggas be talking police. I took your hoe and released her. I used to trap out a Regal. 200,000 on my wrist. I thought it all was a fantasy. 200,000 on my wrist. Lord, I hope it don't vanish. 200,000 on my wrist.